And we are live. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Lunch Date with Violet. So very excited to have another lunch date with another good friend of mine. So today, we have with us Dr. Ansgar Cheng. So I believe that some of you might know him as well, because we do have a lot of common friends. And yes, here he is. Yay! Yes, hi Ansgar. I've just unmuted
Hi, how
you.
are you?
You want to say hi?
Yes, thank you very much for
Okay.
having me.
Yeah, so really thankful
Yes,
to have you.
you know
Yeah,
what?
and yeah. Go ahead.
I thank you for having me, okay? Because you know what, Violet, actually, without knowing, you get me into some troubles. Because when I share this link about this webinar on the Facebook,
Yeah.
then people start to message me and say, hey, how come you're having a date with this lady? What did Moon think? You're having a lunch date with her. I said, hey, come on. Violet is a friend, is my wife's friend, okay? And my wife made me do this. And I'm not having a date with her one-on-one. Well, in a way, it's one-on-one, but not physically. It's just over the web, okay? Guys, chill out, okay? And of course, they didn't know, and I have to say it, and you know that you are the owner of this successful business called Lunch Actually, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, thank you so much, for your support. And that was quite interesting. I never hear anybody tell me that before, you're the first person, because, I have interviewed, both ladies. Obviously, I wouldn't have gotten into any trouble there, but I have introduced some guys as well. But nobody have told me that, they're like, what are you doing having a lunch date with a lady? But, thanks for that, for sharing that.
Yes, it's true. Okay. And some of them actually say, Ansgar, I closed shop already, so I need not to have the service. I said, but you know what? Your kids may need to have it. You never know. Okay. So, well, it's a good service that the Violet has been providing for mankind.
Thank you. Thank you, Ansgar, for your support. That's amazing. And I will take this opportunity to also maybe share with some of your friends, who might be thinking why we are doing this. So
Yes.
during this circuit breaker, I've been thinking to myself, what are some of the ways that I can, spend time and also do something that I enjoy, and maybe perhaps, give back, in a different way. So I just turned 40 this year, and I've always, have this dream of being like a talk show host. So I thought, okay, maybe this year I will interview 40 of my good friends, and share with the world like their expertise, what they do, and have fun at the same time. So, and because of the industry that I'm in, I was thinking very hard, what should I call the show? So there's a reason I've decided to call it Lunch Date with Violet. So, like to all Ansgar friends who's watching this right now, that's the reason why Ansgar is having a date with me. And like what Ansgar has said, his wife is a very good friend of mine.
And Violet's having a lunch date with the dentist, so it is fair. It's not a problem.
Yes. And I think, I just wanted to talk about this. It's so funny because I have this friend who told me that whenever she wants to go to see a dentist, she's from Malaysia, and she will only come to Singapore. And I was like, okay, like, aren't there any like dentists in Malaysia? And then she was like, okay, you don't understand, like I have this dentist that I go to, and it's like, like this dentistry is amazing, like I've like gotten rid of all my wisdom tooth and it doesn't hurt at all. And I'm like, really? Even though I don't have any experience taking out my wisdom tooth, but I've heard from people that it's like it hurts like crazy, you can't eat for days and things like that. And she's like, no, this place I go to, like right after I take it out, I can go, have a walk along Orchard, go for my favorite lunch place. I'm like, wow, really? And then it was so amazing when I found out that it's actually Specialist Dental Group.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, like you guys are doing great work, like people fly all the way from Malaysia just to see a dentist.
Grateful because we have lots of good colleagues in Malaysia as well. They are very capable clinicians. They do the good work. However, in our place, our motto is very simple. At the end of the day, we should not miss our patient, and our patient should miss us. So having
Yes, yes, awesome. Thank you. So, Ansgar, we have a lot of people who have tuned in. You know, like right now we have more than 20 people who's watching this. So, you know, if you are watching this, you know, please feel free to say hi. You know, like to encourage us who's having this lunch date together. And of course, you know, like feel free to like, feel free to share. You know, like with friends you think who might benefit from our session today. And of course, you know, like ask any questions that you might have for Ansgar, because today we'll be talking about a lot of different things. But you know,
Ah,
before we go into like what I would really want to find out from Ansgar, I want to find out a bit more about, you know, what he does, right, as a dentist. Like what I've mentioned just now, like it's just so interesting to hear that, you know, there must be something really great he's doing at his practice that people are like flying all around the world, you know, just to see him. So I think Ansgar, you know, like from like your accent, you know, some people who might not already know you before that, you know, they might think like, you know, are you from Singapore or are you not? You want to share a bit with us, you know, where are you originally from?
well, very interesting question. Am I from Singapore? As of this moment, I am from Singapore. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Hong Kong. I grew up there. Went to school in the U.S. Worked in Canada for a long, long time before I moved to Singapore. Right after SARS, which is very, very special because we're here after SARS in the middle of COVID-19. Um, it's 7 years. We have 17 good years here. My family
Wow.
grew up here.
Mm-hmm.
Grateful to this country. Grateful to all the friends that we have all over the world as well. So some people say, how come you're always on Facebook? Because to me, Facebook is a tool that we stay in touch with family and friends, extended family and friends as well, really all over this world. We are very
Yeah.
grateful for that. This is a
Yeah.
fantastic country.
Yeah, I mean the government, if you're listening to this. So I mean I know, you know, like Ansgar, you are like you know, you are an influencer, you know, seriously. Like, you know, some of you guys who like have brands, you guys should approach Ansgar, because whenever Ansgar posts anything on Facebook, it's like he doesn't get, you know, like 10 likes, 20 likes, like he get more than 100 likes, or sometimes I even see 200 likes. So, you know, like definitely I can see that like you say, you know, you really you know, use Facebook to connect with your friends like all around the world, like from all the different places that you have grown up in, and as well as have been working in as well. So maybe Azia, you want to share with us, because I guess a lot of our audience today probably would be from Singapore, from Malaysia, but you know, you grew up in Hong Kong. So how was it like, you know, growing up in Hong Kong? Tell us a bit more about your childhood.
Wow, childhood. You just turned 40. I
Yeah.
always want to tell you this, Violet, I want to grow up like you, but I'm ahead of the curve of yours. It's been a long time. Growing up in Hong Kong is a very special experience. Hong Kong is a very fast-paced place. And you know, it is not a secret. In Hong Kong, people in general live in smaller homes as well.
Yep.
That's one thing that I don't really appreciate
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a very messy guy. You know, I mess up my place. I need space. So a long while ago, when I to try it on the work, I realized, hey, it could be different. And then one thing, uh, if it's in a single I went to a school trip.
I think I might have lost Ansgar there, or maybe Ansgar is still talking and like,
I'm here. I'm here.
yeah, yeah,
But there's a little bit
yeah,
of
yeah.
delay in the internet.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean I'm sorry. I will like listen to this later again, because I think I missed some parts of that, but I'm sure our audience have heard it. So just to let you know, like what some of our audience have been saying on Facebook. So
Uh,
Jody say, you know, I used to live in Hong Kong too and grew up there. Hi Jody. And we have Chloe Yuan who say I'm from Hong Kong. And Vicky who say hello influencer. And
wow.
Alan said Howard Ansgar, yay! Hi guys, thanks for joining us today. And please like this post, share this post, and definitely put in any questions that you might have for Ansgar. And Feng Ling just say hello, Ansgar. Another common
Wow.
friend of ours. Yeah.
This
So
is really a party from all over the place. Thank you.
yes, it is. It's a party. Like I think that's really how we want it to be as well. And Annie have just said, "I love Hong Kong." Yeah.
Better than she say, I love you.
then we're going to have trouble, right? Like people are going to say,
I'll
like,
be in
what's
trouble, not
happening,
you.
Yeah, Bonnie is saying hi. So Bonnie is from Hong Kong as well. Wow, you have like a
Wow.
Hong Kong fan base, Ansgar, seriously. Oh,
Wow. Thank you very much.
Vinod say, me too, Honky. Wow. I never knew that so many of our friends are from Hong Kong or have lived
That's
in
right.
Hong Kong or yeah.
For those from
Yeah,
Hong
and
Kong,
we
very
have
easy. Once you talk with them, then they're very fluent with the colorful adjectives. Then you know they're from Hong Kong. Jody is
and
very good with that. Vinod as well.
Jody.
Yeah.
Jody and Vinod. Now I know some secrets about you and all the people who's watching this as well. And now we have Zeal Cheng who say hi, Dr. Cheng.
Well, that's from Australia.
Okay, nice. Wow. So we really have friends from all around the world who's watching this. Awesome. Keep the comments coming, keep your questions coming. So, I mean, Ansgar, thanks for sharing that. So I think one of the questions that, people usually want to know, like when you are in a profession like such as being a dentist, where like, you need to like study for a long time and, you need to continuously be upgrading your skill set. It's not just like, okay, you just do the degree and you're done with, right? So did you always know you want to be a dentist?
Yes, actually, yes. First moment that I realized I want to be a dentist, I was about 9 years old. The
Wow.
story was 9 years old. There was the time I have a sister who is like about a year and a half older than me. So I've
Mm-hmm.
got three elder sisters. So in
Yeah.
that particular occasion, my mom brought my sis and me to see a dentist. It was a very, very old guy now, but for
Yeah.
9 years old boy,
Mm-hmm.
anybody looks like an old guy, okay? Then the
That's
old guy
true.
was treating my sister first. So my
Mm.
sister was having her teeth drilled, placing fillings, this and that. And she was barely about 10 years old. So she
Yeah.
was crying, screaming her head off. So I was watching on the side, the
Yeah.
next would be me.
Did you
But
want
I
to
thought to
run
myself,
away?
no, I thought to myself, wow, that's cool. I can do it too. So that was the first moment that I wanted to be a dentist. And then with
Yeah.
time passes, again, one thing lead to another. I went to school, all science streams, and then I get into dental school, and then spent 5 years in the dental school, and then did some postgraduate in the US as well. So that became history.
Wow. That's so funny that, actually your dentist inspired you to be a dentist because a lot of people, they have really bad experiences going to a dentist. Yeah.
I guess in that particular occasion, my sister was having a time of her life, and I was having a time of changing my life.
Okay. So like you have mentioned, you have gone through like all the different degrees, to get to where you are right now. So were there some challenges that you faced along the way? Like, what are some of the biggest challenges, that you had while pursuing this career or like getting to where you are today?
Biggest challenge number one is to stay focused. Okay, because as a boy, I'm sure there are better boys out there, but I was one of those boys with many, many interests, except reading books. So staying focused is the number one.
Mm-hmm.
In my school, we have a very interesting tradition, and that is after your O level, if you want to proceed to the A level, the
Mm-hmm.
matriculation,
Yeah.
one, you have good grades, then you can do
Yeah.
it. Okay, so
Yeah.
some of my classmates, they're absolute straight A's. I'm not in that category. But there's
Mm-hmm.
another category, which is those people who get a medal or two in inter-school competitions. Then my
Yes.
sport masters will help us to get back into matriculation. And I was one
Ah,
of those.
nice.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
And a couple of my friends got back into school because of that. And some of them became dentists as well.
Wow, that's nice. So what was the sports that you were playing in school that time?
Well, my school was full of good basketball players, footballers, all those people. And I was good at none of them. And the only thing that I found is simple enough is running. Okay, surprisingly, it was
Mm.
running because nobody likes it because it's not cool. It's sweaty, it's dirty. People don't like it. So I thought, you know what? If I'm good at nothing, then I better pick something that nobody wants to do. So I started running at about that one. So and it took me quite a long time, and I became an overnight success. After 5 years, I got the first medal.
I like
5
the
years
way
for
you put
overnight
it.
success.
Yeah, 5 years for overnight success. Yes.
Yes, so everybody love overnight success, right? So I had one,
Yeah.
that's a head
Yeah.
start.
That's really nice. So, I mean, for some of our friends, who have kids, like who are thinking about, what they should do next, what they should pursue for their career, like they might want to be a dentist. So, what advice do you have for them? Like, what are some of the things that they should look out for, or even maybe some of the things they should think about, like whether this would be a suitable profession for them?
Most common, most common advice people will say is that do what you like, do where your passion is. Probably I would twist it a little bit. Rather than do what you like and where your passion is do where you are good at, where your aptitude and attitude is. All right? Because what you like is one thing. What you can have as a marketable skills so they can pay bills, put food on the story. All right. So for me, in my situation, actually, my classmate and I, Charles, who was a fellow runner in my cross country team, we figure out very, very hard, try to make a living out of running. Okay, we
Oh,
spend a
wow.
lot of time trying to
Okay.
figure it out. Okay, we were
Yeah.
first act 263 at that time, and then we come to a conclusion that you know what, making a living out of running is zero chance. Okay, so you better do something otherwise and keep it as a nice hobby to have, and that's
Yeah.
what I've done.
Yeah. So how do people know like whether they have the right attitude or like the right skill set that maybe show that they should pursue a career in dentistry? Okay, I think maybe I'm frozen or Ansgar is frozen right now. But I'm
My
just going to
time
read.
or our
Yeah,
times, we
yeah.
don't really have too many tools. Sometimes a gut feeling, sometimes what the adults tell you, sometimes exposures. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but nowadays, kids, surprise, there are all kinds of tests out there. Tests now, not the
Wow,
stressful type. Actually, it's
nice.
aptitude test, whatever. It's almost like you go to a fortune teller and get a 八字, your
Wow.
birthday, all those things to check out the numerology. And then all of an elaborate test, then they will you where is your aptitude and attitude, what kind of subject you should or shall consider taking in order to be a certain type of, and it's surprised because my other.
Okay, the internet is really bad on my side today. Yeah, but I believe that you should still be able to hear Ansgar.
Say whoever is on this ah now I come to
Yeah,
life
I'm
again.
back.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're back. That's correct. Great. So
Yeah,
meanwhile,
yeah, yeah.
whoever is so-called watching, if you have any questions, please feel free to write in. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So like I'm just going to read out a few more comments that we have had. So Lily, your mom-in-law from KL is listening in.
I have the best mom-in-law in town, okay? So, but that, because she's out of town, but she's the best mom-in-law anyway.
So Lily, you should like listen on because I'm going to ask some very interesting questions towards the end. Yeah, and we have Doreen Cheong. So she says, I miss going to
Wow,
Hong Kong. Yeah.
me too, for now.
And we have Jody. Jody have been asking a lot of questions or commenting a lot. Thanks, Jody, for your support. So
Thank you,
Jody
Jody.
say, only when we are speaking Cantonese, then only these colorful adjectives will come out. I think he was commenting to what you said earlier.
He's right. Jody is always right. I have no complaint about that.
And Jody say, yes, for sure. So I think Jody brought up a very good point as well. Like just now we are talking about aptitude test. So he say
Yes.
like make sure that you have done the Gallup test. Get a Gallup coach to help you. Yeah, I think yeah.
I totally agree with that. I mean, just like this webinar that I'm going through, my wife also made me go to the Gallup Strength Finder. And I
Mm-hmm.
did it and about 2 years ago, and then I redid it maybe about last year. And
Yeah.
then after I did it for the first time, I was so convinced that I
Mm-hmm.
made my whole office, everybody to do it. And I think it's a
Wow.
very useful tool
Yeah.
for communication purpose and also get to know one another better.
You want to share a bit more like what were some of the strengths that were discovered for you during the strength finder that maybe you were not so aware of, or like what are some of the things you decided to build on more on?
Very interesting question, because the first time round I did it, I don't mind to share, okay? My top five strength was being analytical, achiever, learner, command, and focus. All
Mm,
right. So for those who know me, probably will agree that five things sort of describe me quite spot on.
yep,
But out of all those characters, there's this command. After I get my whole office to go through it, we have about, say, 100 or 200 of these characters, okay, altogether. Then I
yep.
found out in about all the great points that we get, there's only one command, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not about good or bad, but I realized that it is something like a genie, you know, in Aladdin, you know, you put it in the lamp
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
genie come out, master,
yeah.
what can I do for you? It could be very helpful, but it could be very destructive as well. So at that point of time, that I realized that this is something very special. And then I've decided I'll keep it like the genie. I keep it in a bottle. I put it in my
Mm,
shirt pocket.
yep,
I take it out, check it from time to time, see if it's still alive. Okay. If
yep,
it's not, or yes, I put it back in my shirt pocket.
yep.
Under some situation, I may activate it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so if there's something I sort of work on it.
Yep.
And then remember I said I did about a year ago,
Yes.
redo it again. So I have the five. The five was analytical, achiever, learner, focus. And the thing that I've changed, instead of command, I got a relator.
Mm,
Relator is totally another end of the spectrum.
yes.
So now this is not to claim any credit, but the fact is by working on it, that changed the command, which is very top down,
Mm-hmm.
into a relator, which is more level, okay?
Yep.
And to me, it is a good self-realization and reflection as well. So for that, I'm very grateful.
Thank you for sharing that. I think, definitely this is something that all of us, like not just our kids who's looking to go into university, but just all of us, if you have not done like the Strength Finder by Gallup, like I totally agree with Jody, check it out and, look for a coach to help you with as well. And incidentally, Jody is actually a Gallup coach, like I've worked with him before and he's awesome. I mean, Jody is an awesome trainer as well. Like those of you who have been trained by Jody, you know what I'm talking about. Vicky Pang has said, I'm waiting to hear some love advice from Ansgar since it's like, love guru. Don't worry, Vicky, we are getting there. So stay tuned, stay tuned on the way. And Tommy Tay say, perhaps you could speak in Cantonese after a sip of water. So Ansgar, I saw that you have just taken a sip of water. Okay, 而家講廣東話，我哋而家用廣東話嚟做呢個。
你想我講乜啊？你話要我講乜冇問題啊？OK 啊
係啦，我哋
？Tommy 最
OK
靚仔就 Tommy
嘅，
啦，
係啊。
最 Tommy 最靚仔就 Tommy。
係我
Thank
哋而
you
家可
very
以
much.
即刻講廣東話。Okay, now he has
Switch back
taken
to
another
English now.
sip. Sorry, we have to switch back to English. And Alan said, Ansgar inspires me to run, although I have to admit I will never run as good as he does. So this brings us immediately, to our segment today, our topic for today. So our topic for today is life is a marathon ? So I think Ansgar, you have shared with us just now that you actually started running at a young age, so I think you were saying like from Sec 1 onwards you started running and you became an overnight success 5 years later.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think I also seen some photos that you have shown like in your Facebook now and then where I think at that point maybe in your 20s or even your 30s probably like working very hard and have not been running as much and you really grew to I don't know like double your current size. I don't know. Yeah, you want to share with us a bit about that journey and what made you decide to take up running again?
Well, I was very, very lucky because after I get done with my dental school in Hong Kong, I get into specialty training in the US. Now, working in the US, okay, especially at that point of time, we got lots of perks, okay? And when I was in UCLA, we were the so-called residence doctors. That means that those who are trained in specialties. So we are all given this stack of meal ticket every month, which is 50 of them, 50 meal tickets of every month. So you basically have 2 nice meals at the medical center every day.
Wow.
But because we wear a white gown, walk in, walk out, the cashier know us. And
Yeah.
they're always very kind to us. So I would take up whatever main course, onto the stack up my tray, because
Yeah.
being a poor boy from Hong Kong, I have never seen most of the food, okay? So I would stack it up and then I just walk out and then I just stuff my face and enjoy every single meal. Until
Mm-hmm.
one day somebody told me, hey, you know what, you're a little bit too much. I said, why? You know what? He said, you know what, your meal ticket is only like $5.25, but you put in like $15 worth of food on top of that. So after I practiced eating like that for about a year, then I
Yes.
realized that all my clothes were a little bit tight. Okay. So when I left UCLA, we moved to Toronto. The first thing I did was I bought some nice new suits and pants because I have
Mm-hmm.
to. I was
Yes.
exploding in or
Yeah.
filling them up quite nicely.
Yes.
And of course, being younger and at the time I really have the need to put food on the table. I was newly married, so I had to focus a lot on my work as well. So I was fully devoted to my work, 110% approximately.
Yes.
And then next things, then I realized one day after a nice dinner, I went home, I took off my shirt, go into the shower. Before I go in the shower, then I realized that, geez, Ansgar, you are big. That was the moment that I realized that I have to do something about it. Okay, I have to
Mm-hmm.
do something about it. And
Yeah.
I really didn't know much. And the only thing that I knew was, maybe I start off running a little bit again. But it wasn't easy. To be honest, it was very, very tough to start off. It was quite a bit of time to change the relationship between myself and food, and also
Mm-hmm.
change the relationship between me and activities and me and exercise. Okay, exercise and activities. All right. So that's the beginning of it. And it's true. I don't know if you my picture, my old picture, okay, when I was in my late 20s, I
Yes.
probably was about 1.5 times of this size right now.
Yes. Yes.
So that
Yeah.
was
I.
quite
I. I.
quite
I mean,
impressive.
I couldn't believe it. Honestly, the first time I saw it, right, I was like, really? It's like, can this even be true? And like, um, and I think it was. I was thinking, did you Photoshop it or something? Because it's such a huge difference, right? Like from where you are today,
It
and
was
I
a
think
huge difference. That's right,
yeah.
huge difference.
Yes, yes. I think I really want to pick up on the point that you just brought up just now, which is very interesting, and I think people would really want to know more about. You mentioned like you need to change your relationship with food. Like, can you elaborate a bit more on that?
I always enjoyed good food. I grew up in a family where my father would love to have seafood and with any excuse and any moment. Okay,
Yes,
so we love food. Being Cantonese, we love food as well. But again, when I moved to the US, because we stopped having as much seafood, and I was seeing food that I haven't seen before practically. Okay, then I really enjoyed them and I love them. And because remember the meal tickets, okay, the cashier are
yes,
very nice to me, so I have a free
yes,
flow of food, okay, really
yeah,
free flow of food. And
yeah,
then for those who have lived in the US before, you know that sometimes when they're on promotion, you can buy a bulk, okay, for everything, for buy a bulk at a bargain price. So I started doing that. And I really enjoy it. My palate loves it. My tongue loves it as well. But my waistline, well, I guess my waistline also loves it. Um, Remember the moments when I was taking off my shirt, trying to go into the go into a shower? Then I look
yeah.
at myself. Actually, there was a story behind that. I look at myself. Then I thought, geez, how would Paul think about me? Who is Paul? Paul was
Mm.
my cross-country teammate. Paul is a very handsome
Oh,
boy. Okay, so when we were in school, and Paul also lived very close to our school as well. So every time after a practice, okay, he would dash back to home and then take a nice shower, and then he comes back who fresh and it smells good. Then he
yeah.
sat next to me, and Paul would say, "Ansgar, how do I look? Ansgar, do I look handsome?" And Paul actually again was a handsome boy, but he said, "Do I look like Andy Lau? The 四大
Yes,
天王,
yes.
okay,
Of
right?"
course, of
So he said,
course.
"Hey, do I look like Andy Lau?" Actually, he did look like Andy Lau.
Wow.
Okay, so I thought, wow, Paul, Andy Lau, me, the fat boy. That's not fair. That's not right. Okay,
No,
so
you look like Andy Lau in the like one of his shows, Love on a Diet.
I look more like Heidi Lau, okay, not Andy Lau. All right. So that was the moment that I thought I really have to do something about it. And
Mm-hmm.
if not, then I would start to hit some of the roadblocks in life, okay? Because
Yes.
life is fair, okay? Life is fair in the sense. With some few exceptions, most of us are born healthy, okay? God made us that way.
Yeah.
However, we have to work on it to keep it that way. Now, it's not about me, but rather we look at around people around us. We see old folks. There are some old folks, if they make a point to stay active, actually they can have good time, good year until almost the very end of their life. Um,
Yes.
so we heard of people say like this gentleman, Edward Whitlock. He was 85, 86 years old. He was running 10 kilometers in 40 minutes. He was running marathon about 3 hours plus at 80 something years old. Those are world record time. But the most important thing is this. After he set the world record for his 10 kilometers in marathon at the age group, he passed on about 6 months later. So Ed actually was performing at the top of his life just a few months before he passed on. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, I think it is not a bad way, because
Yep.
rather than having a decline for 10, 15, 20 years, suffer for
Yep.
5 years before he moved on to see his maker, he managed to live a very, very good life until almost the last second. That is
Yep.
impressive.
Yep. I
And that
totally
is
agree
my
with you.
idol.
Yeah. So, but I think, like, a lot of us struggle with, and like, for example, myself as well, like, is really struggling about getting out of that state, So like where you mentioned just now, when, you really like, look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh my goodness, like what is happening here? And, what is Paul going to think about this? Like from that point onwards, like to, like eventually when you were like obviously a lot fitter, a lot healthier, like feeling much better about yourself, right? Like, what are some of the steps that you actually put in, like, like what are the, I don't know, structure that you put in, or like certain habits that you keep start putting in? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that, like, so I really would love to hear like your sharing on that.
First thing first is the easy part, because it doesn't take too much of activities to achieve, and that is to change your relationship with food. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so basically control the amount, and also ask myself this question all the time, and that's, if I put that into me, how long would it take for my body to use that up?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time the answer is no, it will never be used up, it will be kept with me. Okay, no, it will take a lot of time. For example, if you have just one
Yep.
chocolate, it will take you run about 1 kilometer to get rid of it. Okay, one
Mm-hmm.
chocolate, 1 kilometer. But for example, in a webinar like this for 1 hour, if we have some chocolate in front of us, we probably can finish half a pound. Okay, 10, 15
Yes.
chocolates at the same time. And there's
Yes.
10, 15 kilometers of running. Do you fancy go out to run 10 to 15 kilometers? I mean, most people don't, right? So first thing first, I found what I did was that I tried to control in terms of the food quantity. All right. Later on in the game, then we start to change the quality of the food that we eat as well. So number one is to change the relationship of food in that sense. Number two things is to do more home cooking. Okay, that's within the food control part. Um, well, then about activities or exercise. Actually, that one I have to blame it on my wife again. Okay, because she made me do it. No, it's not. It's not exactly she made me do it. Because my wife, early in the game, when I go out to run, she would say, Ansgar, stop, don't go out. I say,
Mm-hmm.
yes, what can I do for you? You write down your phone number on the hand. Write it down the hand. I said, why?
Okay.
Because that was the time we were in Canada. We have no cell phone. Huh? Okay, we were living in a very rural
Ah,
place. So
okay,
she said,
okay, makes sense.
so in case if you drop dead, somebody will call me and pick up your body. So that's how she think of running. So then we moved to Singapore, and then a few years back, then one day my girls, my two girls, two daughters, was
Yeah.
about 10 years old. They were swimming for the school, okay, and then one day both of them say, you know what, Daddy, Mommy, I don't want to swim anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It is just too tough. Then my
Yes.
wife, being a mom, and she said, you know, I really don't want to swim. Good, okay, we respect your choice. Don't want to swim, run, law, okay. Then my wife signed them up with the coach,
Yeah.
and then it turned out that the coach will also take care of the parents when the kids are
Mm-hmm.
being trained. So I sort of
Yes.
like, on the side, hanging on. Then when the kids are being trained, I'll be on the side, so slowly plotting around. That's how I started again.
Wow. And what made you decide to like start running competitively? Because I think I don't know the terms very well, but I know like you are like like in the top like 3, top 5 of like your age group. Like I think that is amazing because, you know, obviously a lot of hard work. And I think you can run faster than most of us probably on this call. Yeah. So how did you like have that motivation to get started on that?
First of all, athletic capability is important, but it's not the most important things in life. It's nice to have, okay, but it's not the most important thing in life to have in life. So sometimes we de-emphasize that. How do I start it? Running competitively, to be very honest, is natural to me. It's really natural. If I run well. Because long ago, somebody taught me this. Ansgar, if you do anything that's less than 101%, you're wasting the gift. All right? We are all gifted to be running around. We are born to run. As human beings, we are born to run. You think about it, millions of years ago, our great-great-great-great-grandfather in the jungle, in the forest, running around in Malaysia or China. If they are not capable of running around, they will be eaten alive by tigers and lions, okay?
Yes.
So running around is a nature. And to me, so-called running comparatively, it is just a natural thing to me. I really never think twice about why am I running or whatever. There are times when I start off a run, if it's too hard, then I'll say, oh crap, why am I doing this? But okay, I'll just do it. Okay, finish it, just finish it, okay? And then cry and lick my wounds after.
No, I can think of a good reason why it's worth doing it. So I mean, we have a common
Please
friend.
share.
So his name is Mo. Yeah, so he
Mo.
runs like Fat Burger. So you know, it's like
Yes.
Ansgar, right? It's like the guy who can eat like that. What is the name of that burger? Like there's 4
The quad
patties.
burger, the quad burgers.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
So
the fat burgers, the quad burgers.
yeah, so he is the one person I think, you know, that he can eat the quad burger and he don't need to worry about it at all, because, you know, obviously he probably have already, you know, like used up the calories before that, or the next day, you know, you will be like working out those calories. So that's one good reason to, you know, keep running.
Mo is very, very, very kind. I really enjoy the quad burger. Every now and then I will sneak back and have a quad burger. Why should I say I sneak back? Because I have to sneak back in between feeling guilty, okay, to have to get quad burger because it's so delicious, but the calorie is not small. The same process, actually, when I order that, I would say, Ansgar, how are you going to use it up? Okay, how are you going to use it up? When are you going to use it up? Or did you use it up beforehand so that I can sort of justify it? So it's not like I just stuff it in. All right. Yes, when I'm eating it, I just stuff it in. You don't want to see me when I'm doing that. I look like my old self. Okay.
But I mean, you earn it, you know, the amount that you run. I remember, like, you know, I used to go for the running program as well, you know, like bring my kids, and then like I'll be like seeing Moon. I'm like, oh, where's Ansgar? And then Moon is like, oh, he's running here, and and I'm like, what? And I mean, at that point, you guys have not moved yet, so like you were living like more downtown, right? And it's like, yeah, he's running here, and then, you know, when he gets here, he'll be running with us, you know, like doing the rounds. I'm like, okay, that's great.
That's
So
me.
we have more we have more
That's me
friends
because
who
I
are
don't
watching
drive.
with us. Yeah, you don't drive. Yeah.
I don't drive and I want to save a few bucks on the taxi fare or the bus fare. Okay, that's not a bad thing,
Yes.
right? You spend a little
Yeah.
bit less than what you make and then invest the money. That's how you get a little bit ahead in life.
Yes. So we have Millie who's here, and we have May who is watching with us as well. And I
Hi.
think I think Jody has brought up a very good point. Jody say Ansgar is a professional runner. Being a dentist is only his hobby.
Now that more okay. So don't tell anybody, all right? I still
Okay,
haven't
so
figured out how to make a living out of running yet, okay?
yeah, so we have, you know, a lot of friends who's watching with us today. So if you're here, you know, like feel please do say hi, you know, like please like the post, please share the post, you know, show us some love, and, you know,
Yes, please
definitely
do.
ask us any questions as well. So okay, I think, you know, like talking about running, and of course I think a lot of people out there, after hearing your very inspiring story, you know, like maybe this is something that they might want to take up, especially during this circuit breaker, during this MCO right now, where like one of the things that you can go out and do, you know, like is really running, right? So for
Yes.
someone who is like thinking of starting up, like taking up running, like are there any like special gear or special shoes, you know, like what are some of the tips of like choosing a good pair of running shoes? Is it about the brand? Is it about how much it costs? Like any advice on that?
Well, no advice, but I can share. All right, I can share my experience in here. Um,
Yes.
the one and most important special tools that you need to have is really to make up the mind. You really want to do it for the one you love, maybe it's yourself, or the one who's around you, your loved ones. You don't do this just for yourself. You do it for people around you. So the first thing first is to have the head. All right. The number two, whatever gears, the first special gear you need to have is whatever you have at home, the one that you have pre-existing already. Now, living in Singapore in a metropolitan setup, we most likely will have a pair of tennis shoes or some sort of sports shoes. Just use that. Just use that to start off. And then the rest about running is simple. Just do it slow, take your time, enjoy it. Sometimes people say, actually yesterday, there was another person say, hey, Ansgar, can you train me? I said, no, I'm not a coach. I can't train you, but I can share with you. Okay. The number one thing is you just spend X amount of time running. Don't worry about the speed. Don't worry about the distance. Or don't worry about how you look or whatever. Just spend, say, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You do it slowly, nicely, so that at the end, you feel pleasantly tired. Just pleasantly tired, not unpleasant. So that you can do it the next day, the next day, the next day, and next day. It's the consistency, persistency that counts. It's not that one day you run very hard and then for another 6, 7 days we rest. There's no point. It's counterproductive. That's what I was taught. It worked. It worked.
I love your advice, you know, it's like, because like we shouldn't give ourselves like more excuses, right? Because sometimes people think, oh, no, I need to have the right shoes, I need to have the right attire. But like what you say, you know, like just do it with whatever you have first. And I also love the advice about not over exerting yourself, because I totally get it. Because I started like doing some weight training again, like during the circuit breaker. And I think I
Keep
exerted
going.
myself. No, I exerted myself. And then, you know, I started to have this like terrible backache. I couldn't sit properly. I think I was just either doing it wrongly or I exerted myself. So I agree with you. Like just do it at a pace where you feel a bit uncomfortable, but not until you are like dying. Because you know when you feel so bad, you are not likely to want to do it again.
That's exactly the case. Another thing that I found it very helpful is to have some people that is sort of like-minded. Then you sort of check with one another. So chit chat a little bit, share some idea, things like that. That will make life a little bit easier as well. Because a lot of times we thought we're the only one having a challenge, having the battle to fight, but actually it's very, very common. Sometimes people say, oh, I have this ache, that pain, this and that, but actually it happens. You know, the only way to prevent having the little bit of aches and pain here and there is by doing nothing. Doing nothing is the best way. All right. But the aches and pain will come later on in life in a more expensive and terrible way. And you pay doctors. Okay.
Yes.
You pay doctors. Um, Doctors are good people, but you want to stay away from them. All right.
Okay, we have a lot of questions coming in right now,
Wow.
actually. So from Gwen Fong say inspirational as usual. I agree. Candy Lee say, how do you run so long? I get really bored. So any advice for that?
Wow. One thing that you may do nowadays with technology, I found it very helpful, is when we are running, just plug in a phone, plug in your favorite music or radio channel. Then it will make time pass so much easier. You do a little bit of singing along, okay, that's not a bad thing as well. Because you know what? If you can sing a little bit while you're running, then you're not overexerting yourself. If you have to catch breath, very panting very hard, that is a little bit exerting too hard. So if you can get a song casually, just sing around, sing along, then it will be a good idea. Um, I found that very, very helpful, especially there are days that we really have to do it a longer time and harder course, okay? You know it's going to be lonely. Get some music, get your favorite singer to sing with, to run with you, okay? Make the guy or the girl to suffer with you together.
I love that. Gwen says, love his frugality. Feng Ling. So Feng Ling say, you know, you have lived an inspiring life. So who had influenced you the most?
Wow, Feng Ling, you asked a very big and deep question, okay? I was taught quite a bit of time ago, and that is choose your heroes wisely. choose your heroes wisely, because that really will change the outcome of the person. In a way, it's almost like a food. You show me what you eat, and I know who you are. So choosing a hero was one of the things that I spent a lot of time on. Out of that, there are a few people in my life that I would say was influential. One, in Singapore, everybody know Mr. LKY was one of them, but I'm not going to talk too much about him because people know him so much more than I do. The other person I found it very, very influential in my life is actually Mr. Charlie Munger. Mr. Charlie Munger is the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway Company. Um, Mr. Charlie Munger was like Mr. LKY. They were both trained as lawyers. One was trained in the UK, one was trained in Harvard. Both of them were top lawyers in the class. And they actually share lots of similarity in terms of the way they think about how they work their life, build their life. Of course, one is American, one is Singaporean, but both actually have very similar attributes. And I found these two people very inspirational. Charlie is 96 years old now. He's a big man. He's not known for being very athletic, but his intellectual capability is really amazing. And that's one of the heroes that I pick in my life.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, so keep those questions coming. We are now at
Yes.
12:47, so another 13 minutes with Ansgar. Like, I would love to take your questions and, you know, like show us some love by liking, by sharing this post, and of course, you know, like sending in your comments.
Send in
So
all the
now,
comments. We'll let this program go for another 5 hours.
okay, so those of you, you know, who have been asking about, okay, you know, like you are in conversation or you're in a lunch date with the love guru. Yes, we are getting here, you know, like, so if you have stayed on with us, like, yeah, good job, you know. So now we are getting to the juicy and interesting part. So,
Wow, I didn't know that.
so
Do we have supposed to have that? Are we supposed to have that? You know, Violet,
yes,
this is
yes, we
really a little
do,
bit,
we do.
maybe a little bit too hot for the date.
Okay, so you know, like you have mentioned, right? I know your wife. I know Moon like for a long time, and in fact, I think I met Moon. I think maybe we met both of you together. But of course, you know, like Moon and I, we have gotten really close, and I mean, she has been very supportive. You know, like she's always the one who's like nudging me. Hey, you know, like when are we going to go running and things like that as well. So my question to you is, how did you and Moon actually meet?
Moon and I met a long time ago, so we have about 10 minutes of time, so we'll cover about 30 years of history in that. She and I met in about 1988, actually it was 1988, August.
Yeah.
I was having a student exchange program. It was between Hong Kong U Dental School and NUS Dental School. I was supposed to spend a few weeks here taking classes in NUS, things like that. And there was like about the last 1-2 nights we were here, then one of the dental students was having a birthday party. So we went to the birthday party and then we saw this girl and she was a friend of this dental student. And Moon was here and she was just basically visiting Singapore in between holidays. That's how we met. And then those were, again, there was 1988. There was not much of email or whatever, and couldn't really afford to have long distance phone call anyway. So we did a lot of letter writing. So I licked a lot of stamps. You know, my tongue is quite good.
Aerograms, yes.
Yes, aerograms, okay. For some of the younger women may not know what is an aerogram, then you can always Google what is an aerogram, then you realize what aerogram, the art, okay, is of aerogram. So, but it wasn't love at first sight in a sense, at least not in her eyes, okay. So, but after that, she went to US for her first degree. I went to US for my postgraduate, and then our life slowly merged together. And we were not planning to get married in any specific day. Then we decided, okay, we should just get engaged first. Now, getting engaged, you need to have an engagement ring. Now, having an engagement ring costs money. Remember, I don't like to spend money. So I figure out the best thing to do is I make an engagement ring. You know, see, I don't know if you can see it here. This is the engagement ring. I have it on my neck right now. I tell you why.
Yes.
Because I make this engagement ring for her and for myself out of dental gold. All right, dental gold. Recycled dental gold. Don't ask me where the gold is from, but it was recycled dental gold. So I made it for her. I have it on my neck because in the last few years since I started running, I lose weight and the ring actually feels very, very loose. So I put it on the neck, on my neck instead. So after we get engaged, it happened in Toronto. Then my sister was there and she said, hey, what's your plan after engagement? I said, well, we don't have any plan yet, just let things go. Then she said, well, then it's not a very good idea. I said, then what do you think? Then my sister said, why don't you just get married? It was like 2 days after we get engaged. Then she said, why do you get married? Then Moon and I look at one another and then we say, it's not a bad idea. Then next day we got married. Okay, that's how it went. And then so
Wow.
far, it's been working out okay, and we're still working on various things. Okay, we're looking forward to have some more good time in the future.
Oh, that's so, I don't know. I mean, that's such a beautiful love story. I didn't know that you guys met for the first time in Singapore. So I think Singapore holds like probably, such a meaningful place for you guys then.
Meaningful, yes, and also make it very cost effective. Remember this recycled dental gold engagement ring, and we have it since that time until now. And for many, many, many years, my wife always say I got her without even giving her a stone. Wow.
I think you have done something about that. From what I heard, I think you have already done something about that.
Yeah. To her credit, when I offered her to buy her a stone, she declined for the first time. And then I offered for the second time. I said, you know what, you decline, then you keep your mouth shut forever. You never complain about it anymore. Then in a moment of weakness, then she changed her mind and she bought her first stone. No, it's actually my moment of weakness. I pay for it.
Okay, so we have more questions coming up. Like, okay, what advice would you give to your children, given your kids are still at an age where they would accept it? So this is from Seema Shah.
Advice, well, it depends on what kind of advice. In general, being from the organization EO that we are from, we don't really advise, but we also don't advise kids too much, but we do. Okay, the reason is because kids are kids. They need a lot of guidance, and it is official and is open between us and the kids. And that is, look, we are not just your parents. Okay, think about the relationship with parents. One thing that we do is beyond being so-called parenting is that we are trying to be your coach. Okay, being a coach is very simple. What is a coach? A coach is the person supposed to bring the best out of whoever the trainee is. The coach will give you some instructions, say dribble the ball this way, shoot it that way. Those are good coach, but those are good teacher coach. Those are the ones who teach you to shoot hoops. Coach is supposed to, no matter if you're training a person to run, to swim, basketball playing, or football playing, it's the same, which is, again, to bring out the best of the person. The technical part actually is not so important. So for kids, for example, your kid may want to be an economist. Maybe she wants to be a chef, or he wants to be a doctor. The technique, as far as I know, is still the same, which is to bring out the best. And one thing that I learned from this coach, speaking of coach, my idol for coaching is Mr. John Wooden. John Wooden was the champion basketball coach at UCLA. And John Wooden had this book about coaching. You can Google them. And one thing they talk about is this: do not focus on the scoreboard. Focus on the play. Basketball, okay? So don't look at the scoreboard. You're supposed to look at how you dribble the ball, how you pass it, how you score for the next play. It's not about the result. It's about the fact that you focus on the play and do the best you can. I think that is important because we cannot control our result. Really, God has the will for every single one of us. We may not get the result that we want because that may not be what He wants. Okay, we cannot work against Him. Okay, I'm not overly religious. Okay, but that guy is much smarter than us. So you cannot work against him.
Totally
So
agree.
just focus on what you can do and do the best you can. I think that is what I found most helpful and useful. Thank you, Simla. Grateful for the question.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that question. And I think previously, we have a friend of who yours or mine who actually say, oh, we want to hear some love advice from Ansgar, and now is your chance to hear some love advice from Ansgar. So it's like, Ansgar, you met Moon at like kind of like when you were studying, and that's where I met my husband Jamie as well. So I think to a certain extent we are kind of like the lucky ones, the blessed ones who just like had it easy. I think to just meet someone at university and from there build up a relationship, build out a marriage. But I think, like there are people who out there who did not manage to do so. And like maybe in your practice, like the people that you have met, I'm sure, like there are singles out there as well. So, like based on what what you have observed, like what advice do you have for singles out there who's like looking for love?
Well, I've only gone through these things for one time, so I don't know much about love, okay? But let's try not to think about love, okay? Let's just change it from a little bit different angle. And there's what we cannot change in life. What we cannot change in life. Now, in a city life, okay, and being a small business owner, one of the things that we get the trophy is about, the dollar figures, okay, what you have, your home, your car, your bank account, all those things. But let's look at it that way. All those things actually, honestly, who give a damn? Who give a damn? At the end of the life, it's not about what you write on your tombstone. It's about how people spray paint on your tombstones. All
I
right?
didn't expect that.
You
Okay.
write whatever, that is easy. People spray paint on, that is something that you cannot have time and don't have the beings there to clean it up.
Yeah.
So that is the part about your health and your life and your love. Is something that you cannot purchase, you cannot change. So work on those other attributes that can improve your love index, improve your health index. Okay, because your health index is longer, is better, then you have more time around to clean up your tombstone. Okay, but work on the parameters. Hopefully, your love index goes up. I think that is the key. Um, but with this, you know that I don't have a clue about love.
No, you are wrong. Actually, that is like what you say is exactly right. Like because a lot of singles, they come to us to find love. They are always thinking, I'm looking to meet the right one. Like they think that their only problem, like, or their only challenge is meeting the right one. But I think you brought up a very good point, because like a lot of times there are things that we can't control. Like you might not be able to control like who you meet or like where you meet them and things like that, right? Like for example, how you met Moon. But what you can control is actually being the right one and choosing the right one. Yep. So I think when you talk about love index, like that totally relate, and I think that's so spot on.
Well, I'm glad, because the love guru say that it is right. On the other hand, I don't think we have a better time in life now compared with any other time. For example, if, say, Violet, you or me, if we really have to choose when and where you were born, would you choose to be born, say, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, or 200 years ago? 200 years ago, if you and I were born, we are lucky if we can be a farmer, have a plot of land to farm and get some rice to eat. Uh, Being born in this or in the last century, okay, in the last 50 years or so, we are given tremendous opportunity, education, traveling, technology, okay? In the old days, if you're single, available, and desperate, being very sad, single, available, and desperate, then you can't really do much. You really can't do much. You have to wait for the maypole, okay, the one to
Yes.
connect you with
Yes.
the other person, the available person to marry you.
Yep.
Nowadays, yes, with some technology, we can have, say, your business, a lunch
Yes.
actually,
Yep.
to connect people together. Facebook, okay, Instagram, Twitter, so all those things. That makes life actually a little bit closer. On the other hand, a little bit more distance as well. Like this lunch date, you and I are having a one-on-one lunch dates, but we are
Yes.
quite far in apart.
Yes. So last question. So I asked
Yes.
all my interviewees or my lunch date this question. So wait for it. So the question is, what does true love mean to you?
True love, well, we go back a little bit to the earlier one, and that is true love is the quality that people will find in you when you are not around. What they may not be spray paint, well, but on the tombstone, what they would like to write on your tombstone. Those are the true love. It's not where you live, what's your qualification, your honest, even your business achievement. After 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, who cares? Really, who cares? Sometimes people say, oh, I need to leave a legacy. Leave a legacy. It's important. It's important. Then the question is this: do you love your parents? Everybody say, I love my parents. Do you love your grandparents? Yeah, I do. How about your great-grandparents? Then people say, how do you know that? That's right. Because except your great-grandparents happen to be really one out of a billion special. Otherwise, most of the time, we don't even know our great-grandparents. Our legacy actually are very short-lived. Legacy is actually a little bit close to vanity. All right. So I always encourage my wife. I said, if one day I drop dead, so you miss me for 2 months or 2 weeks, you cry enough, okay, and then find a new man and marry and be happy. Honest. That's not a bad thing. Okay. Trust me, I don't miss her as well. By then, I'll be happily flying all over the place. I'll be living in a happier place. And I have so much to talk about, with whoever God is, okay, to answer the questions. He will have lots of questions to ask me. Ansgar, why do you do that? Then I'll say, God, you know what? Hey, you have better questions to ask, right? I have many other millions of trip passes in life, Dig into the other stuff, Don't give me the difficult questions now. Save it for the last.
Okay, thank you so much, Ansgar. So,
Thank you.
like, do you have anything else to add? Like, I mean, like Mother's Day is coming up. Like, have anything to say to Moon, who's like the mother of your two beautiful daughters, or like your mom-in-law, like who says she's watching right now.
Of course, my mom as well, okay?
Yeah.
All mothers are special, okay? Mothers gone through a lot in order to bear kids, okay? To raise the kids, to nurture the kids. But please, this is honest, okay, and serious. Please do not forget the daddy, because daddy are the most forgotten people in this world. Okay, almost all kids, if you go and do a survey, most people will say, yeah, I love my mom. Do you love your dad? A lot of them will say, no, I don't really love my dad. I don't really connect too much with him. So don't forget that, okay, because they also deserve the due love as well, because actually man needs a lot of love, and that's why lots of them are so difficult to love, because they need the love.
I think that's a great perspective. And I mean, on that note, just want to share that there is a saying that respect is to men like how love is to a woman. Yeah, so I think a lot of times, like when I share this with women, especially, they are quite surprised because I think they never really kind of see that perspective.
Maybe just switch it around as well. Respect the women and love the man as well. All right. I think both are important in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
After all, it
So
takes a sperm and an egg.
yeah, I agree. So thank you so much, Ansgar. Like
Hey,
we
thank
are
you for
at
your time.
the top of the hour, 103 right now. And thank you guys for all your questions, your comments, your feedback. Thanks for making this lunch date, like even more enjoyable by participating. So,
Thank you
if you
very
have
much.
liked what you have heard today, please please share, and like if you like more content like this, do like my page, Violet Lim page as well, because I will definitely have more interviews coming up. So on Friday, I'm doing another lunch date with Fabian Lim, and we'll be talking about how to, create an online business, a digital business right now in the downturn. And next week would be quite special because, like instead of interviewing or having a one-to-one lunch date, I'm actually going to be having lunch date with couples, So,
Wow, that is more
watch.
special. Whoa.
Yeah, so watch out for that. And once again, thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day ahead. And once again, thanks, Ansgar, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. But one more thing, okay? If you happen to be single, available, need not to be desperate, find Violet and for the lunch. Actually, you won't regret.
Thank you.
That's what I heard.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good
Okay,
day.
bye bye.
Bye.